All right, so we are judging today all the games from the autumn 2025 at this point. Bloody hell, 3 years that we've been doing these game jams. We've got four amazing judges, and one of the fifth, Ruka, couldn't make it today, but she sent in her stuff, so I'll post that later as a little link in the description for everyone to see what Ruka put in for the video. So, without further ado, you guys have already seen the intros, hopefully, in the previous video, so if you haven't had time to see who the judges are, please go watch that video. I'll put a link somewhere up here in the YouTube video, just so we can go get along straight with it. So, first up in terms of games, we've got Fragile. And yeah, so we'll go in the same order that we were discussing previous to the call. So, Tom, would you like to go first? Give us what you enjoyed about Fragile, something that they could improve on, please.
Yeah, cool. So I thought that Fragile was quite creative. I definitely enjoyed the deer which attacked the delivery man, and I thought obviously it was a good way to kind of use the theme in such a creative way. Um, a couple of things that I maybe had trouble with. Some of the controls at first were a little bit difficult. I'm not sure if you could do it with the arrow keys or not, but I was using WASD and then using Q to throw the box and then E to pick it up and then Q to attack at the same time. So I found it was a little bit hand crampy at the time. I think more of a dual system would have worked a lot better. But saying that, it did give a good bit of challenge to the game, which actually I found quite fun after a little while. One of the things which I was speaking about with this one is the music, whereas the music is a little bit chaotic, which ironically actually works quite well with the theme of the game, especially with kind of like the opening and all of the animations and stuff. Um, I would say that if this were to be developed further, then maybe work on more of a developed soundtrack. But obviously, there's only so much you can do in a week. Um, Luigi, would you like to know my scores for the game?
I think we can skip scores and we'll do right at the very end. We'll just raise hands and then the
Cool.
majority one wins for
Great.
each bit.
Brilliant. Okay.
Sounds so
Nice and
good.
easy.
Yeah, we'll just keep it one good thing you liked and one even better if, and then just to keep the pace going at least for the session. So it's going to be a little bit shorter than usual.
Right.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
we'll move on. Steph, give us something that you enjoyed and something that you would improve.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we talked about already, and also I think that Tom already touched a lot of the points that I thought too. So I also thought that the area was kind of whimsical, fun, goofy with the deers and the package guy. I had some issues with the controls too on the platforming. Could be at some parts a little bit frustrating, but it was easy to get what you had to do in a sense. The objects were kind of clear. So it was kind of, yeah, just try it out and go forward, and just, I don't know, yeah, jump on deers. So yeah, the jump, I think could be a bit more improvable regarding the attack of the deer or the jump itself. So you have a bit more on the feedback visually. And then also a good thing I really liked was the parallax, and like it was a nice detail to have for a platformer, for a side scroller. And I think aside from that, yeah, the music could get a bit tiring after some time. So yeah, maybe make it a bit more softer or add more elements to it so your brain doesn't get, too tired of it after a few tries. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Steph. Johan, would you like to go next?
Yes. So as mentioned before, the team is great. It's a simple idea, don't break the box, but adding the deer worked very well for me. Having to hit the deer worked even better for me. But it was hard, definitely the game was a little hard. I will say that I found a way of cheating the game, which is just you jump all the time and there's no need to balance the box anymore. And also I will add that I really like the fact that the boxes were falling on top of the platforms, because that's just a little extra detail to the game, and that's very nice. So yeah, very nice concept. The controls were, in my opinion, fine, very snappy, I guess, but depends on who playing, right?
Thank you very much
So
for
that
that, Johan. Isaac, would you like to go next?
love to. Thanks. I appreciated the opening cinematic and the text giving the scenario and then putting the player right into the action. I would enjoy the gameplay being more meaningful in terms of, as a platformer, you're largely you're trying not to be murdered by deer, which is fun and goofy. And one of the best things about this is the scenario for why you're carrying a package in the woods is silly and absurdist, and the gameplay and the aesthetic and the vibe are all pretty absurd, and so that works together in concert. However, it seems like there's two different games. There's the game where you're running and gravity or speed or acceleration is working on the balance of the box, and your goal is to deliver the box. And then there's the platforming with the jumping and the deer enemies that are harming your physical body. And it would have been nice to have mobs that maybe weren't deer, perhaps were some kind of animal like an owl, that were upsetting the balance. So it focused on the box, protecting it, delivering it. And I would say have take some time to work on the feedback for the deer. If whatever enemy you have, giving more visual animation feedback for what is damaging them or what is damaging you. As someone who's bad at video games, that would have helped me as a player. I didn't get to finish it, sadly, so I'm sure there's bits of your game that I would have loved. I just didn't make it because I was murdered by deer. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that, Isaac. On my end, I, again, really enjoyed how silly the idea was. I think definitely very, very creative in its way of using Don't Let It Break. Very silly story, very silly mechanics for it. Really enjoyed that aspect. Only thing that I would add on is if you are creating a game fully by yourself, please use assets if you can. You have only 1 week. It's probably better to focus on the one bit you enjoy rather than trying to stress yourself out doing every single part of the game. So if you enjoy doing the music, focus on doing the music and like get assets from online and then program what you can. And if you just want to focus on doing storytelling for music, do that. Do that. Similar if you only really enjoy doing art and you're doing a solo dev stuff, make the art look really nice and keep the gameplay really simple, and the music, just use stock assets if you can. Just to help at least make it enjoyable for you, not to stretch yourself between too many different parts of the projects. But other than that, very fun little concept. Nice. So that was Fragile. We're now going to move on to When Enough Is Enough. So this was the one where it was the little teacup that was trying to get outside, if people remember that one. So I'll give everyone a couple seconds if they need to refresh real quick. And yeah, so Tom, would you like to start us off with When Enough Is Enough?
Yeah, sure. So I actually really quite enjoyed this game. I left them a comment. I've left all of the games a comment on their itch, just with my thoughts. I thought this was quite polished. I was quite sad that it ended so soon. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 levels in it, but I think that's because it was so kind of like kind of polished, like with its assets, with its animations and stuff like that. I enjoyed kind of the overall kind of comedic vibe of it as well. And I was looking around for those Easter eggs as well, which the creator said were around. I think I saw some like pixel art Pikachu or something like that. I thought as well the use of music in this is kind of what I mean in terms of like using existing assets when kind of you don't have the time to make it all yourself. I think they used so much kind of existing stuff in such a good way. I think they used some of the Death Note music at one point for kind of like a little bit suspense there, and immediately I was like, right, okay, I can see where this is going. That's kind of the power of that. You can see immediately the game's vibe from what music they're using, and I think they did that well. Little touches like the sound effects, as in like the clings and clangs from like the cutlery kind of like smacking against each other was good. And yeah, the movement was really fun as well. I did let it break many times. Yeah, no, this was a really good one. Again, I think the only thing I would improve on really is I don't know, maybe a bit more of a narrative or even more levels as well. But they did well with the time they had.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. Steph, would you like to give your points, please?
Yep. Yes, thank you. So I just want to say that I think visually the game really fits narrative. To me, it felt almost like a comic strip. Like it felt very cartoony and very polished, as Tom said. So it felt like like a finished product, and with the humor on top, it just was it felt like a whole game almost, right? So that's why I guess everyone was surprised that it just was like 2 rooms, and was kind of disappointed, which felt like a psych moment of the developer themselves. So that was fun. The interactions, I guess, were intentionally with super crazy physics going on. So at first I thought that I was really bad at it, but then I got that like when you jump here, sometimes you stay there, sometimes you just bounce away. So it was fun to have not the entire time the control over the game. And aside from that, just kudos for the sense of humor and to finish something that looks like something that could have a lot more levels with a lot more objects, interactions, and just for 1 week it looked finished very nice. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Johan, would you like to go next with your points, please?
Of course. Well, I really liked it. It was simple, small, but very charming. It didn't need more than a pair of eyes on a cup, and I really liked the game. I like the physics of it. It was a little bit like jumping on ice sometimes, but when you hit something, everything moved, and that was nice. And I don't know if some of you left the comment about the clock that was in sync with the music, I think. With the animation, that was very nice. That's little details that you add, and you should feel very proud about it. I don't know. I didn't like they were so short, but yeah, obviously they had only a week, so what can you do? But generally, I really like the idea that they had, and very nice game.
Thank you very much for that, Johan. Isaac, would you like to go next, please?
Yeah. When enough is enough, it was perfectly scoped, I think, in terms of it wasn't much game, but what game there was really hit on almost every mark. I had a bit too much difficulty with the platforming, but I'm probably going to have an issue with gameplay for every one of these because I am seriously really bad at video games. I just like them and like making them too. The Death Note music, chef's kiss. Humor, style, the way you give story, however preposterous. I mean, we're a cup, I think the delight I had at the beginning and ending cinematics was only matched by seeing me get filled up with water as part of the mechanics. It was a really nice touch, unexpected, I guess, depth to gameplay there, interactivity, and you have vision and style. Keep going.
Thank you very much for those words. Yeah, I mean, I'll echo pretty much everything. I think definitely had the strongest, most polished look overall from the ones that I saw. The intros were phenomenal for the time that you had, the amount of effort you put into those intros, even if it meant no more levels and you only got 2 levels in. I'm glad that you spent the time to make every single bit. It felt like you spent the right amount of time on everything together to make it still feel cohesive, still feel complete, and give enough to make people wanting more, which is kind of what you want from a game jam. Just a couple of levels just to get people oh shit, I would love to play more of it. I think for me, I also had a bit of struggle with some of the movement, or I don't know if I was just being, again, just a bit dumb with what was what, but sometimes I felt like I couldn't tell why I was bouncing on some bits more than others. But again, that's just things you can easily fix with either indications or a quick show of another cup falling onto the sofa to show that the sofa makes you bounce more if you hit it in a certain area or whatnot. But yeah, other than that, Easter eggs were really fun, as the guys have said. And yeah, generally very, very, very strong entry that I think most of us enjoyed quite a bit. So now we're moving on to robot maintenance. I'll give everyone a chance to scroll over to robot maintenance, and then we'll start back up with Tom again. Whenever you're ready, Tom.
Yeah, of course. This was another one that I really liked as well. I think it was very kind of well made, very polished as well for what it was. I think the mechanics were simple enough to understand, but I also think that they were fun enough and challenging enough to kind of like keep me wanting to beat myself as well. Um, I think the fact that you had to watch out for obviously when you needed to rest and when you needed to repair yourself. I think I noticed that higher falls like damaged you more. I'm not sure if that was a thing, but I have a feeling that that might have been, or if it wasn't, then it definitely should. But yeah, I really quite liked it. The aesthetic was cool.
Mhm.
It had a nice kind of clean, like old school vibe to it. I think as well, what I found quite interesting was the fact that it managed to create a sense of world building without telling us anything, without giving us any words or dialogue or narrative or anything like that. And I think it was very clear what you had to do. You had to pick up the plant and then take it somewhere, and then finding out that you're just slotting in with all these other robots. It was very Wally, and I found that quite cute and quite whimsical as well, which I really quite enjoy. I would like to see, obviously, some more, maybe some more mechanics, maybe some enemies or something like that coming towards you. But yeah, really good, really polished.
Thank you for that. Steph, would you like to go next, please?
Yep, thanks. So the roam maintenance for me was really interesting on a level on feedbacks, because it had a bunch of feedbacks. So we had the face of the robot on the bottom in the UI that was like kind of getting more tired or more sad when something was not working out. You had the bars that were going up and down, and also you had all the wrenches going there, and also some UI on the screen when you had to go through the door. So I think it was really nice. I think also, there was another feedback that the robot itself, the player, was also having like giving some signals that it was needed some maintenance or energy. So it was really nice on that part. It felt very alive in that sense. I think that the aesthetic fit very nice. The theme also, the robot-y like with the old school pixel Super Mario one. It felt really whimsical and cute and wholesome, I want to say, especially the mechanics maybe were not super complicated, but once you reach the end, seeing how the robot went into the store, like with all the other robots, it felt like it had a nice beginning and a nice end. So it felt like a really nice product. And of course, it can always get more complex, but that's always the case in game jams. So yeah, really, really, it felt like very complete, and polished to me.
Thank you very much for that. Johan, you're now up next, please.
Of course. Okay. So for this game, for robot maintenance, I really like the art. It fitted very well with the theme of the game. Future, save the plant. So the art style was very dull, like futuristic, white, grays. The UI was very cute. I will say that when it comes to the mechanics, I am not sure if I like them that much, because I felt like like you could recharge and fix at the same time. So it's like they eliminated each other a little bit. But it's still, added to the challenge, I guess. Also, when it came to the story, I feel like I would have wanted a little extra to it, because when you come to the team, protect the plant, take it to their side, and that's the end of it. So maybe, add some extra spark to the challenge, I guess. So I liked it, but definitely needs a little review in some parts, in my opinion, at least.
That's all good. Thank you very much for that. Isaac, you're up next, please.
Thanks. I noticed something when I was critiquing this, was that I wrote the most and I was picking apart different elements. And this is my favorite game of the jam. And I think I had a lot to say because it has such a strong foundation. And I really do hope development continues on it. And if you want a narrative designer, call me. It was very fun, very cute, very clean, very tight. I hated the jump because I suck at games. It could be better for someone like me. Two of my favorite video games that I don't really talk about much because it feels so long ago. I'm very old. Was Super Mario Land 2 and the Kingdom of the Six Coins, I think it was, and Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. And this had elements of those, which is about the highest compliment I could give. I had a Game Boy, the original, when they were £5, and you couldn't see anything. It was all yellow. But it was really fun. Something that I was taught, the first thing I was taught really as a narrative designer was that rather than, and generally for a writer, someone would be like, well, write, but write better. For games, it's if you can tell the story through gameplay, do it. If you can not use words, perfect. The fewer words, the better in general. So maybe if we're giving out ideas, showing what happens to a plant that is not protected by the robot, just as an intro cinematic for a couple of seconds, would be great. The UI text could have done more for me, for how I messed up in playing and not understanding the core game loop. But there was just so much going on. Also a big Mega Man fan, so UI showing the robot's face in there like Doom Guy, beautiful, love it. Very great. Well done.
Thank you very much for that. All right, and then on my end, again, yeah, I'm going to echo all the visual side of it. I think definitely had the most distinct and most memorable like visuals in general. And music choice is also really good as well, because I feel like directing what you want to put in your game, even if it isn't something you made yourself, direction for any game is just as important as actually creating the thing itself. So I feel like they've chosen the right stuff and made a really atmospheric thing. And I think someone mentioned about the game being able to, like, even though it didn't really have much of a background change or much else to world build, it still felt like a world that was lived in, which is quite fun. My only thing is I feel like the platformer may have not been the best genre for it. I feel like they might have been better to have it as like a puzzle platformer kind of vibe, rather than just like a generic get from point A to point B. Like add a puzzle element, so instead of having to recharge every time or X amount of times, you had say 50 steps to get from point A to point B, and you had to figure out the quickest way to get the plant to the exit before the robot broke down. I feel like that direction would have made the game a lot stronger in general. Because I feel like the platforming you had, yeah, it had the bits, it had the... I saw what you're trying to do, but I feel like it generally would have made it a lot more tense to get the flower, give the importance of the theme a lot more there, if you went down the direction of like a puzzle. So, say you have 10 seconds, either get from point A to point B without recharging. So you only have one charge per... So you basically have to get from charge port to charge port, is basically what I'm trying to say. Or it's just the robot can only move X amount of steps before it breaks down, and you have to get to the charge port. So I feel like that would have made it a lot stronger. But that's literally my only critique of the game. The rest of it, it felt really nice to play, and it would have been nice to see a little bit more of the world if you had more time to sort of explore it and build it. Because again, your visual style is incredible. The UI and the feedback, like Steph said, like cannot express how fun it was to see the robot just be like a living creature. That was really fun to see. So now we're going to move into Don't Let It Break, which was the one where you had the hands and you were having to play keepy up, such as oh, it gave me flashbacks to some old Flash games I used to play when I was back in school. But again, Tom, I'll let you start before I give my thoughts on this one.
Yeah, cool. Well, I've said on my my comment for this game that I'm a bit of a sucker for these kinds of keep you up games. So it kind of reminds me of kind of when Facebook first introduced those like soccer and basketball games, and I would get the highest score. And I actually made a point. I don't know if anyone's managed to beat me yet, but I've managed to get the highest score on there. I think I got to about 27 or something like that.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
So I think it was 30.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Well, hopefully no one's beaten me yet. But please, anyone watching, go and try and beat me, because you may as well. But yeah, I thought it was nice. I think the action button to actually keep up the piece of art, I think that could have done with maybe being on the space bar rather than a click, just for better kind of feedback with an actual control, if that makes sense. I feel like that would have felt nicer to play. But also maybe some animation on the hands when you are doing that keepy up would give you some better some kind of visual feedback as well, and make it just feel a lot nicer. Otherwise, what I ended up doing was just kind of clicking, click, 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 just to make sure that I hit the piece of art back up when it came down. I think it was a good touch having the kind of challenges, like the tiny hands and the tiny art and stuff like that. I do think maybe there could be more variation. So I don't know, maybe introduce another piece of art, and you have to keep them both up at the same time, and then so on and so on after you get past a certain amount. I think that would have been quite useful. I think if we're going down the kind of art museum kind of context, then maybe having some kind of objective system would be good, rather than just keeping up the one piece of art the whole time. It maybe there's a certain objective of how long you have to keep it up for, and then you have to do it again with another piece of art, which is a bit more difficult, maybe for a bit longer. Some kind of system where, rather than just keeping score of how many bounces you have, maybe some kind of system where there's a little bit of progression as well. The art was nice. And again, the inclusion of a leaderboard is a great touch, because it kept me playing, and I want to make sure that I'm the best. So
I will agree. Leaderboard was a great touch for that type of game.
Yeah.
Steph, would you like to go next, please?
Yes, thank you. Well, now I just want to beat Tom. Now I have to go back.
Go and try.
So yeah, I have to say first, I really like the theme. For me, it felt the most pressure on the theme, like don't let it break, like an author, or don't let it break, because you're an artist intern and we're making you do the stupid stuff and simple stuff at the beginning. So like, don't you dare break it. So that it was a really nice touch to it compared to the other games. About the animation, about the hands. Firstly, I would have loved a bit more movement there, and also it's bouncy and jumping stuff. For me, it just screams for stretch and squash animation. So yeah, it felt a bit stiff on that part animation wise. But aside from that, the art was super readable. It was very fun. The reaction time, you also had very little reaction time, so it was fun to wait for what happens next. So it was certainly entertaining for sure. And that's it basically. Just a little bit more visual feedback would have been nice, but it was really entertaining. And let's wait for it, Tom.
Thank you very much for that. Johan, would you like to go next, please?
Yes. So as mentioned before, I really like the theme. It was very silly. Just protect the art, and the students are throwing paints at you for whatever reason. Also, if you play long enough, the art piece will change size. So, adding a little extra challenge to it. I think that was cool. I only did 27. I think the highest one is 30 points right now. So adding the leaderboard is a great touch. It really reminded me of like old mini clip games, those Flash classics. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And as for replayability, it's the best one in the list, I guess. I could just play and try to beat the other judges, which apparently I did not.
Well, it seems we've got to have a collab stream where we try to beat each other in this game now.
Yeah, sounds fun, yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Isaac, would you like to give your thoughts, please? I think you're muted still.
You're muted, yep.
I'll never live that down. Thanks. This was a delight. The biggest sad spot for me was that you named it "Don't Let It Break." You weren't the only one. If you're ever doing a game jam, probably don't name it after the theme, because there will be multiple games named after the theme. But if I just found this without context on its own, I still would love all the things I love about it. I didn't get very far because I didn't have a sense of feedback for when to click and what I had done wrong. I think even if I'm not the best at video games and would never get higher than the bottom, probably at a leaderboard on something like this. I find that good game design would have feedback such that I could learn over time. Was that too early? Was that too late? What did I miss? And how can I apply that to future attempts? And I didn't really get that from your design. What I got was wonderful art style, creativity in terms of what you threw at the player. I would have preferred something a bit more. A scenario I imagined was I don't remember who says, "Hey, hold this for me quick." Like that was just not enough for me. And what I imagined for some reason was an artist being a wonderful flake and being like, "Oh, you work at the gallery," or like you're holding, uh, you're a waiter holding champagne or something, and they're like, "Here, I don't know how I really want to display my piece right now, but I've got to talk to that." That's somebody who wants to buy some of my stuff. So hold this for a second while I rearrange. And you see this person in the background talking to the money bags, and you're like, come back. It's something more story related for the narrative design, but just in and of itself, keep it up. It's the best game ever. In terms of game design in and out of video games, like if you have a balloon in a crowd and you prop it up, doesn't matter what your demographic is, people are gonna like, oh, oh, oh. So bring in that joy. Use the game feel to bring in the joy of keeping something up. And your art is so good. The crowd, mulling about, the din of people talking, excellent feel. Maybe put in some really cheesy saxophone jazz because that's what an art gallery might play. But well done.
I will quickly follow on from the jazz. I felt like that's all it needed for it to be like just me chilling in the background, clicking buttons for just mindlessly clicking. I feel like all it needs is just a bit of smooth jazz in the background for it to really like tie it all in. But yeah, following that, atmosphere was great. I feel like it definitely had the strongest like sense of atmosphere because it just felt like you were being surrounded by snobby art, but like art collectors and whatnot. But yeah, I think I'm gonna follow on as well from a point that Tom made, which is like in terms of like variety of what actually happens. I feel like you could have made it a lot more chaotic than it was. So either adding 1, 2, or 3 other RPs you have to juggle, or just more chaotic things that were happening rather than just like the classic like Mario Kart squid thing, which like at some point most people will know whereabouts is falling if you get the gist of it. So I generally think if you added some sort of like time limit, like the longer you played, say if you were 2 minutes into the game, the ball will start falling. Sorry, the art piece will start falling faster and faster, or there'd be more things being thrown at you that you had to like swat away, or you had to like avoid, like kind of like a Fruit Ninja kind of thing, where if like a bomb came in, you had to like avoid hitting that because it would just destroy something. And I feel like you could have added a lot more chaos to it, to, like make it more intense the longer you were in the game. But other than that, no other bits of feedback. I feel generally just overall very very fun game, very very nice visuals, and yeah, just great atmosphere in general, and it's just really fun just to click button and keep something up for a while. never fails to entertain. But yeah, I think that's it for Don't Let Him Break, and I think we're on to our final one, which was Another Thing. So this was one that you had to download. They had a video though, so I just watched the video because I didn't get time to download and play this one today. But this is the submarine one, where you go down and you did like some shooting bits and you just continued going down and made sure the sub doesn't break. So Tom, would you like to go first, please?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, a couple of things that I definitely liked in this one. One, I think the promo arts and the marketing art was quite nice. The digital art effects. But then we went into this pixel art vibe, and I feel like I maybe would have preferred the actual digital art vibe. I think that looked a little bit cleaner. However, one thing that I did know was that there was so many assets, so many pixel art assets, that for them to make that many in a week is really really good. One thing that I was struggling with was maybe just the the fact that the submarine can only go up and down and not horizontal. I was really looking for some kind of area where you can go, you can actually use this horizontal space, rather than just keep going down, because at that point I'm kind of like, well, at what point do we stop playing the game? At what point do we achieve some kind of objective, if you get what I mean? I think some little details, like some missing kind of sound effects when the gun is shooting, and there are a couple of times where some of the enemies were kind of clipping through different parts. I think at one point there was a shark in the sky or something like that, which, I think just a little bit more detail with that could have made it a lot more fun. I think maybe something to consider adding is maybe, pun intended, waves of enemies as you get to a certain distance down, where more and more enemies would come around you, and you have to get rid of all of them before you can move on. Because it seemed quite consistent with the amount of enemies constantly coming at you, towards the submarine. So I think maybe that would stop the whole go down, shoot, down, shoot, down, shoot, and it would actually give you time to explore a little bit and maybe go and get those treasure boxes and stuff like that. And then you get bombarded by the enemies. But yeah, what I did really like was the lieutenant or the captain, who was kind of speaking like that kind of speak at the start. I would have liked to have heard him again, maybe on the radio or something. But yeah, cool.
Well, thank you very much for that. Steph, would you like to go next, please?
Yes, thank you. The thing I liked a lot about the game is that I think compared to the other ones, it was a more action-based game. Like you had to defend something actively by shooting at other. I mean, in the one you jumped on a deer, but this felt like a bit more action-wise. They were attacking you. I panicked a few times, like, oh my god, there's no way I can win this game. Which in fact I didn't. But yeah, I really like this. It felt like very adrenaline. Like you have to keep moving. You cannot stay because it's just gonna keep going. You have to fight your way through it. This felt interesting to me. A few things to improve. I would like to recommend a parallax for this game, because I have done a vertical parallax also underneath the sea, like and it goes into depth with a nice gradient. And it's really so like it's so nice. Like you can put like several layers of depth into it and make like nearer stones or corals, and then you can have like maybe some shapes in the background far away with lighter colors. So like since it's just vertical movement, I would really recommend to try out a parallax in that way. And game-wise, I have to say I didn't finish it, and after a few tries, I got a bit confused because it felt a bit rushed. So I saw all the popping up of the keys, and you had to press for everything. I really got confused by the repair, because I switched to the repair, but didn't know what to repair, what to interact with. There were some like wooden boxes, which I think I had to go there, maybe at the end go there, and then I could repair. It wasn't clear, so since I didn't figure it out, trying a few times, I went to the video, and I saw that they didn't repair the ship. They were just basically going in and out and just shooting, and then going down until the end. Which also leads me to the oxygen bar of the player. I don't really get it. If you just go out and in again of the ship, why do you have the oxygen meter going down? Because basically, like the game that I saw in the video that they showed us wasn't like cohering with what the game told me to do. There were a few things that I didn't understand, or weren't maybe thought through the end, or were not implemented as good as the shooting mechanic. So yeah, that's the only thing I would improve. But overall, it was really action heavy, some panicky moments for me there. So fun.
Thank you very much for that. Johan, would you like to go next, please?
Of course. Okay, so for this one, I really like the idea of it, and the initial like little cutscene was very nice. I really like the voice of the I don't know who the captain or whoever that was. I would say sadly the first time that I played the game, I didn't understood that I could shoot. So like my first couple of gameplays, I just was going down. I didn't know how to shoot or really fix the submarine. I don't know, but then I discovered I could shoot. So I guess you don't need to fix anything if you can just shoot at that amazing amount of fishes that were attacking you with zero disregard to anything. They just wanted you dead, and that was the objective of the game. It was nice. It was fun, I guess, but with a little more time, they could, polish all the mechanics that they tried to add into the game. Yeah, that was it.
Thank you very much. Isaac, would you like to go next, please?
Thank you. Well done. I think I have a lot of critiques because I think there's a lot of potential. It seems like each individual piece has a lot to recommend it, but coming together didn't really happen for me to have a cohesive game. Um, the biggest thing that stood out to me that felt like this could get lost in a sea of other games, no pun intended, is the lack of sound effects and musical changes whenever things progress or there's state changes in the game. It's a very simple thing that makes a game feel cheap, and I don't mean disrespect by that. It's similar to some games like RPG Maker games. All you got to do is change the text box and the font, and that goes so far to making it not feel like something canned or out of the box. Not that there's anything wrong with ever using assets, however you can find them really ethically, but I love the pixel art. I love the vector art. They didn't seem to match well for me. I think you needed to make a choice. Narratively, I don't know why it's called Another Thing. It doesn't match the theme perfectly to me because most games are about like not dying or being killed by mobs. The repair kind of fits in with repairing, breaking, counteracting that, but it didn't work for me. I'm not sure if I didn't understand it and I was bad at playing it, but I couldn't open any of the treasure chests either. Going down, there's a lot of potential there for enemies come faster, or you could have spread out the enemies, have different ones come at different things. Like there's a lot of if you had been really together as a team and talking about these things, I don't know what your development was like, but so much potential, so much cool stuff. And as far as narrative goes, uh the character that stands out from this whole jam to me is that captain. So much character. Like that character had character. Really funny, really upsetting. Like, I was disturbed by that, and way to go. I wanted more. Like if you go into the submarine, you should be able to have a little text from him while gameplay is still going on. Don't interrupt the gameplay, but have I want some more of this guy. So well done, great job, very fun, good game.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I'll follow on from that because that character, I think, just stole it. Really hyped up on the rest of the game, and not seeing him for the rest of it was a bit like, oh. I literally just had the thought as you were talking about it. It reminded me of like Crazy Day from Plants vs Zombies, if that's a throwback to absolutely anybody. I feel like you could have probably taken inspiration from that. Again, obviously, I don't know how, because I know you guys had a big team. Like, I know there's the saying of too many cooks spoil the broth, but again, I don't know what the team was like. I'm not gonna make assumptions, but when you have big team, it's particularly if you're on a different time zone, that it's always difficult to get a cohesive like feel to a game. Again, for 1 week with like I think you guys had like 7 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. It's hard to manage. That's why a lot of people just end up going solo. But at least from what I saw, again, I didn't get time to fully play. I just watched the videos because I didn't have time to download and play this today. Yeah, you guys had an interesting tutorial, very like strong start. But yeah, Steph was saying it felt like everything was just like there wasn't enough depth. Like we're in the ocean, allegedly in the ocean, going as deep as we possibly can. I felt like visually you guys were missing either that depth of what the ocean feels like, or that if you were trying to get the claustrophobia of going down, like say like a underwater trench, like it was there but not really. I don't know if it's just the sprite was too big for the hole that you guys coming down, or if you could have made the sprite a little bit smaller and just had the enemies be more obscured rather than fully colorful. Like a lot of directions. Again, as Isaac said, lots of potential to really hone in the feel of the game. But again, for 1 week and the amount of people who probably all had different ideas, it's very hard to rein in on a direction within a week with 8 people. So something you guys could improve on next time is either just pick a lane, stick with it, test it, see what people say, and then keep going that way. Because it felt like everyone had different ideas. So you could tell who was doing what and who would probably influence what bit, but it didn't quite sort of rail into one thing at the end. Because again, concept was very, very like fun for a game. Creativity of this theme, as Isaac said as well, like it kind of was there, but it wasn't further executed upon like properly to make it fully make sense. But yeah, really enjoyed like in general, like that character was great. Whoever designed that, whoever came up with that idea, like fucking ate with that shit, left no crumbs, as they say. And yeah, music choice and everything else was fun as you went down. It changed a little bit as you were going around, but I felt like with the visuals, definitely needed a bit more space with the actual thing to give it the depth and the immensity that the ocean actually is. And with the enemies, yeah, just play around. Because I know you guys put down on the comment you were having issues spawning in waves. So again, it's only a week before you did. Very much enjoyed the look of it. We'll see if I can get around to playing it at some point as well. So I think that's all the games. We are running a little bit over time from what I promised the judges. So what we'll do, I'll let the judges quickly give a shout out to a project they're currently doing. And then I think I'm going to stop the recording. We're going to vote on it. And then I'll put the voting down on the Discord if everyone is happy with that.
Cool.
Nice. So,
Yeah, of course.
if you guys have something to show, we'll go in the same order we've been going. And if you don't have anything, you could just pass on to the next person. So, Tom, are you working on anything you are allowed? Again, if it's under NDA, you don't feel pressured. But if you are allowed to say what you're working on or something that people can find you on, please share.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Brill. Well, obviously, from my introduction, I said that I'm a video game and animation composer. One thing I'm doing at the moment is I'm currently releasing almost all of the music that I've worked on over the past 5 years of working in indie video games. And I'm encouraging other people to do the same as well. I've just started up a small indie label where I'm releasing other indie game composers' work on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, stuff like that. So if you're interested in following along and seeing what I'm doing, then my name's TKI Muse on everything. One last thing I'd really like to shout out as well is my YouTube channel, which in the next year or so I'm going to be going over to Prague and recording about 20 minutes of music with their symphony orchestra. Which is the first time that I've done anything like that. So I'd love to get some people interested in the channel, following along, because I'm going to start posting about progress on that, and to hopefully kickstart a bit of a little IP that I've been working on myself. So yeah, that's me. It's been really fun doing the jam, and I'm looking forward to seeing the winner.
Yeah, thank you very much, Steph. Anything to shout out?
Yeah, I have to, because we're like in the last step. Like it's impossible for me to not think about it. Because in the last steps of launching our game that I've been working on for the last 4 years, I think I said. So yeah, it's called Altered Alma, made by Two Awesome Studio, and it's been my first job in the industry, and it's been my last 4 to 5 years. So I've learned a bunch. Now I'm the lead animator, and it's been intense. Of course, it's going to be a bit more intense. And then finally, at the beginning of next year, 26, we are launching finally. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, check it out. And it's a Metroidvania. If you entered Metroidvania, we need your feedback, please. We would love you to play it. And if not, there's a lot of narrative design on Barcelona and Spanish culture, because it's the studio's based in Barcelona. So yeah, a lot of animations from me in there, so it would be super nice if you would try it out. Thanks for the space.
Hell yeah. I was going to say, before I forget, do send me these links, by the way, to all your stuff so I can link it down in places as well. But yeah, honestly, Steph, the stuff you've shown us, the stuff I've seen that you shared, it's all looking pretty fucking amazing. I'm excited to see and hopefully play when it comes out.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah, right. Well, Johan, you're up next, please.
Well, yeah, if I will share anything, I guess if you see my video, in the intro that we did, I show a lot of the assets that are working for one of my projects. that is about the Pachamama. I don't know if you know what it is. It's a modern nature, but in Inca culture. So it's a project very based on my roots, I guess. And if you are interested of seeing any other of my work, I do a lot of Warhammer drawings as of lately on TikTok. So yeah, of course.
I will also shout out the Warhammer stuff that you've sent me. I'm a sucker for the ones that you've been doing recently, so amazing work on those, mate.
They look great, right? But they're very nice.
Yeah, no, they come out very, very well. I do enjoy them. Right, thank you so much for that. Isaac, do you have anything in particular you want to shout out at the moment?
There is something I would love to shout out. I would love to shout out Altered Alma, which I have backed on Kickstarter. My my friends, well,
I didn't know
I'm
that.
acquainted with the writers, Anthony Johnston
Hi, and Emma.
Emma Beebe, who they wrote Roki, Still Wakes the Deep. Anthony wrote Atomic Blonde, the graphic novel, and it was made into a film. He wrote on Resident Evil Village. He wrote in the Nemesis system for Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Amazing game. I've been really excited about it, and it's so funny that we were judges on this panel, and I had no idea you even worked on it. Pleasure to meet you. I cannot wait to play your game. I hope to write on something like it someday. I have nothing to sell, only love to give.
Sorry, that is crazy. I did not realize that you guys kind of knew each other.
Yep, nope. So yeah, nice to meet you too.
That is wild. Hey, that's why we love to do these. Yeah, thanks so much for that. Yeah, once again, do send us the link to that game as well, so we'll see if we can give a little push via the community as well. And in terms of what we're doing as a community, honestly, I have no fucking clue yet, so we're working that out. Yeah, at the moment we've got the 1-Bit-Tober event, which I'm designing at the moment. So it's going to be another collab animation where it's going to be Haunted Gallery. So you guys will be designing a 1-bit like portrait that you'll animate, and the story is, this is taken from one of our members who suggested it on stream today, that the tavern receives a parcel. The parcel has like loads of spirits that then get released inside the tavern and possess all the paintings that people have submitted. And then it is my job. Basically, it's Luigi's Mansion. I just look like shit. I'm making Luigi's Mansion with portraits, so we're just doing Luigi's Mansion. So yeah, that's the event that's going to be happening probably in a week and a half time. So you guys will see a little bit more on there. But then other than that, who the fuck knows? Whatever I feel like on the month is what's going to be happening. Other than that, oh yes, Tom.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to mention real quick that I've got some new music asset packs that I've just not long released. If anyone wants to message me on any platform and mention the Tavern Jam, then I'll send you a link to download some of them for free.
Nice. Send me that as well, so I can send the details over to people to message you as well. That's cool. Good to know. Good to know. Sweet. All right. Well, I'll give massive round of applause to everyone who submitted games. Again, if you didn't even make the top 5, you made a game. That's all that matters. So thank you all thank you to everyone who took part. Thank you again for all the judges for your time. We'll quickly go and I'll stop the recording in a bit, and then we'll actually do the proper judging now that we've given the feedback. But yeah, as always, everyone, it's again casual game jam. You're here to experiment, have some fun, learn something new. So as long as you learned something and you had some fun, and even if you didn't have fun because your team was a bit annoying or whatnot, as long as you learned something, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. There's always the next one. I'll be doing these till the day I die.
Based.
Getting annoyed with your team is learning too.
Literally, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, as long as you're learning something, you take out something out of the jam, and you know never to work with these people again. At least you know.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah.
Exactly.